Over 80 now have tested positive in Oklahoma for COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus, and business leaders and politicians are urging Governor Kevin Stitt to take stronger measures. Unlike other governors, Stitt has not banned gatherings of more than 10 people, although he has advised against such gatherings. The governor has said he's concerned about how such actions would affect Oklahoma's business community.
At this time, no. We're following CDC guidelines, and that is to stop groups of over 10 or more, and the social distancing that Jerome talked about. That's what the CDC guidelines are. That's what I'm going to continue to preach. And you know, the question is, if you when you shut down something, when does it come back? We're looking at modeling that this could go on for a while. This may be the new normal, and that's why I'm telling businesses they've got to innovate. We've got to think about how do we deliver services, how do we go to the grocery store.
I spoke with former state senator and current Paycom executive Griffin for a discussion on this topic, as Paycom CEO Chad Richison has been among those urging the governor to not wait any longer to act. We're chatting now with former state senator Griffin, and thanks so much for your time, first of all, and second of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. We're hunkered down here in South Logan County, taking care of ourselves and following all of the precautions.
Have you spoken with a lot of people, given, and we'll set the table with your experience, which is perfect for this conversation in a second. Have you encountered a whole lot of people? What are you hearing from people?
Well, I've talked to some mayors. I've spoken with representatives from the municipal league. I've reached out to some of my friends that work in the healthcare community, and legislators that are certainly in the middle of all of the conversations. And so most people are extremely concerned and afraid that maybe we're not quite doing enough yet, and that we're going to get caught flat-footed.
And that's one of the reasons we're chatting with you right now. I mentioned former state senator from 2012 to 2018. Currently, you work with Paycom. You head up their government and community relations efforts. So from the public sector of government to the private sector of Paycom, you've got a wide range of background, including being a former teacher. So Paycom in the news these days, CEO Chad Richison sending a letter to the governor, I believe a couple letters. I'll throw that your way. What are we hearing from Mr. Richison?
Well, we just have the resources that are available to our company and have done some extensive planning to be ready for this, and saw that some of the steps that we really thought were crucial for the protection of our community aren't really in place right now, and see these gaps in information. We continue to hear, obviously we're in the business of business, and so all of our clients are business, and we're very cognizant of that. And we have no desire to see businesses hurt during this, but also realize that safety has to come first and foremost. The safety of the clients that enter each of these businesses has to be the thing that everybody's talking about. And we just see these gaps, and we continue to hear, so follow CDC guidelines, but what does that mean? What does that mean for a grocery store? How do we deliver groceries to our citizens, but do it in a safe manner? So we're not getting the detail and the really thoughtful, thorough leadership that we feel is necessary. Mayors are doing a good job of kind of filling that gap. But even they need some additional direction, because we know the state's getting some information that other folks aren't, and at least that's what we hear. The other thing that we did, we continue to hear from the governor, is that they're using a matrix, that they are watching the trends and the curves to help inform them. But there's no evidence that that information is being shared with the public, and certainly not with those mayors that are really making tough choices right now to protect their community.
You're right. The governor, I believe in the interview this morning with KOCO, says that not everybody has all the facts that the state has and the task force has, I guess, to your point.
Well, and that's a problem. If the governor, if they have facts that they have available to them that they're not sharing with the public, so that if businesses are staying open, those business leaders need to have those facts readily available to them, so that they can make the same types of decisions on behalf of their clients, their customers, and their employees.
To your point, Chad Richison did outline 10 steps that can be taken. You mentioned you had spoken to various mayors, and maybe that's something to get into as well. It does seem like there's various layers of this city has done this city has not done this, the state is operating at this level, and then we hear a national. It does seem like there's various guidelines in place.
We have some disconnect, and of course we do business in all 50 states, so we're very closely watching what's happening in municipalities and at the state level all across the country, which helps us be informed as a company, because we have employees everywhere, and our number one priority right now is the safety of our employees and the communities that they live in. But we have access to just seeing what other people are doing. We have a disconnect there because mayors are making some tough choices, but they're not, it doesn't appear that that's being done in conjunction with the state level government. And if the governor has decided to defer any closures to the mayors, that's great, but the public needs to know that, so that if they're concerned for their safety in their own community, they know, I'm not going to worry about state government, I'm going directly to my mayor and my city council to protect me and my community.
Let me ask your thoughts on a couple things that the governor has said. You can't close life down, can't do it too early.
Well, there is absolutely no evidence that you can do things too early to stop the spread of a pandemic. And in Oklahoma, we have the advantage of coming to this realization after nations and multiple other states. We have to act faster. I would love for us to be top 10, as in the bottom list of states with the fewest of our citizens infected by this pandemic. That's how we win here. We don't wait till it's bad enough and then close things down. There's no evidence that that works at all. In fact, there's evidence to the contrary. What we've seen in Italy, even what we've seen in New York City, informs us.
Chatting with former Senator AJ Griffin, and that's the beauty of the internet these days. It kind of comes and goes as the bandwidth surges. We certainly appreciate her time today.
I'm just glad that my connection has this filter so that I look very young.
You know, the governor, I think, is alluding to, and I'll paraphrase because I have my notes in front of me, but I can't find it right this second, I think he's afraid of shutting business down and the importance of business. Paycom, I believe, is in the HR payroll and probably does a whole bunch of other things that I'm not even aware of business. Paycom is actually kind of built to where people can sort of work remotely, right? But not every, and you mentioned this at the top of the interview, not every industry can work remotely.
Well, obviously there are certain things that you have to be able to be in proximity. I mean, you can't remotely manage a grocery store, although you can remotely place your order and have it delivered to your car in the parking lot, which would be considerably safer than having hundreds of people walk through a store touching all of the items. So there are definitely ways that, as the governor says, our businesses can innovate if they have to stay open. Our business model lends itself to doing things remotely, and in fact, our product helps many of our clients do more of their work remotely using apps and technology. And we agree completely with the governor that business innovation right now is extremely important. But businesses aren't necessarily going to be the experts on how you don't transmit a contagious disease. They're going to need guidance, and they're going to need some clear guidelines under which to operate. And that's kind of where we see this gap that's occurring right now.
Have you been to the grocery store? And I'm appreciating this conversation, just kind of learning and talking this through a little bit. I've actually not been to the grocery store in probably a little bit over a week. Have you been? What's it like?
Well, I haven't been myself. My husband must be grocery shopping. We actually used Shipt the other day to get our order from a local. It was actually a Homeland. I will say that I was in my car and out. I just took a little drive around yesterday, and the Lowe's parking lot was packed. So it's obvious that even though we've taken a few baby steps in the right direction, there's no reason why right now the Lowe's parking lot needs to be packed. It doesn't mean that Lowe's needs to be closed, but maybe we get really innovative with how we allow those businesses to operate right now. I would guess there were probably hundreds of people in that Lowe's yesterday afternoon. That's not following CDC guidelines. But we're back to, with the governor saying, hey, we've got these numbers and we're watching them. I kind of think that if you're in a position and you can say, hey, public, here's where we are. We have this many cases today. We're watching the numbers. And if we get to this number, this is going to happen. We're going to have to take these steps. Do your part. Take the CDC guidelines seriously. And when I say CDC guidelines, here's what I mean. Limit your trips to the grocery store. Be more creative. Use technology. Maybe you gather the grocery store list from all of your neighbors and one person goes. There's a lot of things that we can be doing. This isn't a call for the stop of commerce in Oklahoma. It's a call for us to get smarter and to be more clear about what the expectations are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as there's more tests available, if there are more tests available later this week, what happens with those numbers. And to your point, it'll be interesting just to see how industries and businesses rethink their business models and distribution and logistics and all that. But I guess all this will play out over the next weeks and months. Speaking of technology, I used this setup a couple of days ago to speak with the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma and the needs that they had as grocery stores were dealing more with their inventory of people buying food and the donations not headed back to the Regional Food Bank as much. However, back to Paycom CEO Chad Richison, he made a large donation recently to the food bank.
We're proud to see that we can support the amazing and super important work of the Regional Food Bank. Chad's donation of $2 million. I believe the food bank said over 45,000 meals to families across Oklahoma. This isn't going to be without pain, and we are extremely aware of that and take our role as a corporate citizen in Oklahoma City and in Oklahoma, actually in the entire country, very, very seriously, and want to be a part of every solution. The solutions for the way businesses operate, and of course, for the solutions for families that are suffering.
All right, I'll wrap it up with this final question. And once again, thanks for your time. But we mentioned your expertise, your experience, and your connections, and the fact that you had a conversation with a lot of people of the legislative branches and mayors. What are your thoughts? It's easy to say, man, I've never seen anything like this, but we really haven't seen much like this, right?
No, we've got to use history to inform ourselves and look back on what's happened in previous generations and learn from that, not only our current experience, but from their experience as well. For me, as I'm trying to be a leader in the community, I hope that it inspires teamwork and collaboration and cooperation, and that we don't, that our leaders really embrace their role as the folks that are going to be responsible for caring for all of our citizens, and that we keep in mind that yes, we've got to preserve business and our economy, but we should never do that at the expense of lives.
All right, good stuff, good conversation. AJ Griffin, as always, thank you for your time. We hope to chat again soon, and please stay safe.
Thank you. You as well. Stay healthy, guys.